I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
Wait a minute. Peter didn't shoot my son. I did. Peter was just taking the blame for me. He's a good friend.
Mr. Brown, what exactly are you saying?
I'm saying that I, Cleveland Brown, a black man, shot Cleveland Brown Jr., another black man.
And that pretty much summarizes the Tyree Nichols story. Okay, I guess that's it. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back. I mean, that's pretty much how simple it is. But why? Why is it that there's a video of a beating of a black man, but because the cops are black too, there's no protests, there's no fires, there's no calls for justice, there's no $500,000 and $600,000 GoFundMe's or Give Send Goes. There's nothing. It's like it never happened. It's like no one cares. Well, it's because no one does care, because there's nothing to care about. For one thing, let's be honest, dealing with black people, black men, and also, as of lately, black women is very difficult for law enforcement. They do not comply with orders from anyone. If Carmelo had complied with the teens who requested that he leaves from their area where their belongings were, because in my opinion, it seems like he was over there going through their bags, and they caught him. And that's the reason why he had a weapon on him, because he was over there stealing from these people. If you're a black person in the United States, the mentality is that every single white person is a billionaire and you're poor because of them. That's how all black people see white people. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not arguing with you about it. That's just what it is. So there's a high disdain for them. Why white Americans allow it to fester, I have no idea. It's literally a weapon being homegrown against you, waiting to be triggered at any time. We saw a test run about George Floyd, and it lasted for months, where we watched our cities burn. But when you look specifically at the cities, a lot of the black-owned businesses were burned in opportunity zones that were specifically created for black businesses to strive. So it's kind of like things go full circle. And it's because, I guess, Trump created these whole opportunity zone thing, and they had some kind of animosity against them, and the left used their best weapon, which is black people, to destroy something created for black people. And when you're overly emotional, your feelings override your brain. That's why you can't really talk to these people, you can't ration with them, and nothing makes sense. Now, for one thing, I don't know why they were beating this guy this bad. He appears to already be handcuffed, but it doesn't matter. The officers were found not guilty, and nobody went on television and said, I want money for justice. I want money for what was done to my son. Nobody cares. But had there been just one white person involved, calls for justice and riots and money and money and money, that's all it would have been. There's something strategically wrong. But see, now we're in the age of the internet where anybody can get a mic, somebody like myself. And I can point out the obvious to you that other people don't want to talk about because it doesn't sound right coming from them based on how they look. But that's not the worst part. The worst part, to be honest with you, is that you have people that are literally trying to hype up other people to crash out and do things that they would not even do themselves. They would not dare do themselves. You have people that are calling for violence. People that are celebrating. For example, there was a black kid who he wasn't a kid. He's 18. He's an adult. He's a grown man. He knows what he was doing. He was shot by the police not too long ago. Apparently, him and his friends were in a stolen car running from the police. He gets out of the car. He's holding a gun. God wanted him to drop the gun. The way I know this is because the kid slips and falls, and the gun falls out of his hand. No police shoot him. That's how patient and thoughtful these police officers are now, to the point where they put themselves at risk of not going home that night because they're too afraid to be prosecuted, kicked off of the force, and sued for just doing their job against an impossible enemy, an entitled, uncooperative enemy that lies for money and lies about everything. There's really no way for you to get a sense of the truth unless you have video, and they will even dispute that. Let's just be honest. We have the proof. We've seen it. So anyway, the police ask him, don't pick up the gun. The kid picks up the gun again and then runs behind a dumpster as if he's preparing to get into a shootout. Their police are screaming for him to drop the gun. He refuses. A cop gets a good shot. He passes away from being shot. The cop did his job. He did a good job. He made it home that day, and so did his colleagues, his fellow officers. They protected the public. Because think about it, these kids are driving around stealing cars with guns. Likely they were going to use that stuff. This is what happens in the hood every day. They'll come, they'll steal a car, right? Then they will use the stolen car to go do what they call a drill. A drill is when they find another black kid in a black area, and they go and they hunt him down like an animal, and they shoot him. They do this for fun. It's called, they do something called upping the score. They keep score of this. They don't take score of killing people of other races. It's not fun. They don't see killing other people. They don't see killing people of other races as a challenge. They only want other black kids. Now, how is that not more racist than these lies that they tell me about the KKK? Nobody wants to talk to me about it or explain it, so that's fine. But it is what it is. So he was likely going to use that gun to go kill another black kid. So these officers saved black lives because they also believe that black lives matter. But technically, if they're police, they believe that all lives matter. That's why they risk their lives every day protecting the public. That's the job. They don't have to. They can call for backup and they can just come clean up the mess. But some of them do throw themselves in harm's way. These men could have been shot. Anyway, this kid who has a failed father that couldn't get through to his son to make his son not go out and commit crimes at 18. The father allegedly, seeing the body cam footage, leaves the station. So he doesn't do anything to the cops in the station. He doesn't wild out and crash out in the station and try to fight cops that actually are part of the department that actually shot his son. He actually runs over a retired sheriff's office from a whole different district and hits him with his car. Some people are saying that it was revenge. Honestly, this guy could have just been a really bad driver. People get hit by cars every day. This was not a revenge killing. He didn't get revenge. Just because the man is white doesn't mean they're all a part of the same group. But that's because you don't know any black people. That's how they look at it. All white people are the enemy. They're all on the same page. They're all billionaires. They're all coordinating, and they're all literally tormenting you day in and day out, stopping you from doing things in your life, holding you back. Well, then that brings us the topic of tonight's live. If America is evil, racist, and hell, why are you still there? Why are you still here? If the country is evil and you've agreed upon it, and the people who run the country, which are white, if they're all evil and racist and you're oppressed, why do you choose to remain oppressed in an evil, racist country? Why, when there are flights, let's see, I wonder how many flights go to Africa every day. Every single day from the United States. Let's look it up. Let's just check it out. How many flights to Africa leave the United States every day? Let's see. Let's see what on average it is. Because if you call yourself an African American and everybody talks about Trump being there, because black people hate Trump. 90% of the black women voted for Kamala Harris. So really, I don't understand. It seems like there's nothing keeping you here. if you're the most educated and you're these amazing people who are very compassionate and nice and amazing and inventive and you build stuff, why do you refuse to build up Ghana or Nigeria or Benin or the Ivory Coast or Kenya? Why are you dying? When I say dying, I mean this man's son just literally died to stay in America. Now, the father, he's going to prison. But instead of prison, right, he could have took one of these flights to Africa with his family a year. Actually, when in 2020, when they said that white people are trying to kill us, how about this? Instead of taking the vaccine in 2021, why wouldn't you have just taken your family to another country away from the threat? In these other countries, there's no Trump. There's nobody white running the government. You could literally stay alive and with your family. Why would you rather be in prison in the United States than alive in a West African or East African country? Personally, I'm an immigrant. I'm from a family of immigrants. We chose to come to the United States because we love the culture of America. We love what America stands for. We love the Constitution of America. We actually had to take classes to learn English and to learn about the United States and its history before we could be granted citizenship. So we don't take it for granted. But when you're born with it, you don't really appreciate it much. In my opinion, then you shouldn't have it. It says there's about 30 nonstop flights per day from the United States to various destinations in Africa. 30. And they leave from all the cities where there's like tons of black people. New York, DC, Atlanta, Chicago. Imagine if you had instead of your son being the target of a drill, what if the day before you had just packed up your family, used the last of your money, moved to Africa? Yeah, you're broke, but you're alive and you're together. And guess what? There's no white supremacy. There's no evil white man for you to blame all your problems on. There's no evil police officers that you don't want to comply with. You want to cuss at them. You want to tell these police how they're evil and just swear at them and talk to them all crazy, like this guy.
Stop front. Okay. Stop white. Stop front. Stop front. And no license, so I'm saying mine, go fucking find out. You pulled me the fuck over. What the fuck is wrong with you? Fuck out of here, man.
So I am interested in the meeting. The ticket you have to mail back to the Portland Town Court. Just the address in the lower left-hand corner here. The date you see on here.
I know your game already. Man. Get your prejudice ass the fuck out of here and give me my ticket. Get your suck a dick is what I. That's the question. Suck a dick.
Now, depending on the type of day that cop would have had, and if this guy being this aggressive, and I might have thought I saw a gun. Instead of cursing at this cop because he's a white police officer doing his job and risking getting your the insides of your skull splattered all over that nice interior of probably what is a rental car, instead of doing that, why wouldn't you just pack up and leave instead of risking your life every day around people who you say hate you, who you in turn hate yourself? The United States is not the only game in town. You know, I have this talk now. Like I said, I'm a legal immigrant. My family's legal immigrants, and we're from different countries. But I tell people that, you know, if immigrants, illegal immigrants, are what make America great, then maybe here in the United States we've had a monopoly for too long. Maybe Trump deporting people is him just spreading the wealth, because if they're the ones who made America great, then they can go make their home countries great as well. Why not make El Salvador great? Why do you want to fight so much not to go somewhere else? Trump is not the president of El Salvador. And there's no white people who work for the El Salvadorian government. You should be ecstatic and looking forward to leaving. Why would you rather die or go to prison for 30 years than leave America? All these, some of my favorite rappers, and I know a lot of black people that are in jail. And I'm like, okay, you all agree that the country is oppressive and racist. Then why did you choose to go to trial? Like, if you felt like the country was so bad and the justice system so untrustworthy, why wouldn't you have just left the country and never came back? Depending on where you move to, they're not going to come back and get you, depending on the crime. You could have left. Why are you literally fighting to be a victim? Why are you begging to be oppressed? You would rather literally give your life to not leave somewhere that you consider hell. Why? It seems to me disingenuous, as if you're lying, as if you're scamming. Obviously, maybe this place is not hell. Maybe white people are not evil. Because if they were, when you get money in the United States, you wouldn't be begging to go live around them and moving into their neighborhoods. Why, when all of a sudden you become successful, do you not want to live next to any black people? Why? If they're not dangerous and white people are the enemy, why every time you look around, you're literally trying to get closer and closer to white people? I thought you hated them. All these different people are now attacking white people out in the open, stabbing them, shooting them. This poor woman was attacked. I call this a Black Army attack. And for those who don't know, the Black Army is a hybrid of the Black community and the LGBTQ community, where the LGBTQ are the leadership. They're the generals, the lieutenants, the colonels, and the Black community are just the foot soldiers, cannon fodder, the expendables. And they trick you and manipulate you into doing their dirty work for them. I'll give you an example, right? So let's see here. I was just looking at this. And this is a perfect example of the Black Army. Well, this is one example. This is not the only example.
Defend our communities for law-abiding American citizens. We need the
And so this is basically a video. They're trying to say that Trump, the black community all over the United States has petitioned to Donald Trump to increase law enforcement in their communities, from Detroit to Chicago to Los Angeles to Miami. I'm literally have seen the videos and I've watched people in these states. But then there's going to be something odd that's going to happen. A gay black guy is going to come out and say, why you, no, you don't tell him to do that. Who that, bitch, and just, and I'm thinking to myself, now, obviously, straight black men are not going to resonate or pay attention or take a gay black man seriously. That's not happening. It's the women who are digesting this and they're teaching their sons the wrong thing. And then they have to bury their sons. But how about this? Instead of putting your sons in harm's way to collide with white people in a race war that you're destined to lose, why not pack up your children and get on one of the 30 flights to Africa and get out of here and leave and stay alive? Why would you even risk your children's life to stay in a country that you hate, that you say hates you? But this is what I mean about the Black Army.
And more people see me, they see that we want protection, we want police to protect us. We don't want to get robbed and mocked and or killed. We want to walk across the street to buy a loaf of bread. They want it so badly that the fake news doesn't talk about it. But the black population wants law enforcement more than any other population. So,
hey, motherfuckers, yeah, you heard it for yourselves. This White House has decided that he's going to sic the police on black communities, claiming it's under the guise of protecting us. From who? From who?
From fucking each other. From each other. Literally, they have hundreds of the best-selling rap songs today. It's from a genre called drill music. What is drill music? We just talked about it. It is songs about black youth hunting down and murdering viciously other black youth. They're not looking for them to fight. They're not looking to catch them, and they're going to play paper, scissors, rock. They're looking for them to lay them down and send them to the afterlife. It's just crazy. And say the police hadn't pulled his son over that day, the guy in Cincinnati, and say later that night a YN just would have came and laid his son down. 1,000% he would not have looked for that kid's parents and went and ran one of them over. But yet he'll choose a white police officer, allegedly, to crash his car into. It just shows you the hypocrisy, but it also shows you an obsession with white people. If no one white's involved, they don't really care because they want white people to care. The relationship in the United States that I've observed since I've lived in the country, and I've lived here, and then once I was out of high school, I left the country for a while, and then I came back. And then I've lived on different continents, in different countries. I speak multiple languages, and I noticed that the anger, it's only when someone involved is white. They don't care about anything else. It's more like the a parent-child relationship. Even though these are grown adults, 80, 90 years old in the Black community, the way they treat the way they interact with white Americans, it's kind of like the white Americans are the parent and the Black community is a forever teenage rebellious child, and they're just on a trust fund. So they resent their parents, but they need them to survive. Because if you think about it, who created these social services like Section 8 and welfare and basically the things that these communities exist off of? Matter of fact, who created DEI? It wasn't a bunch of Black people. It wasn't. So it's like these are not being created by you for you. These are all inventions by the people that you pretend to hate. But yet you still want them to give you the advantage, but you hate them. It's again like a spoiled child, rich parent dynamic. And the parent can't really cut you off because they're related to you. And that's kind of like how it is in the United States. Even if you wanted to get to Black people in the United States, you really can't, because white people protect them just because the Constitution says so. They have citizenship, so you really can't deport them like you would want to and send them back to countries where they would be happier, where there's no white people, where they could live amongst each other in harmony. And of course, the only reason why they're so violent and angry towards each other and there's so much black on black crime is obviously because of white supremacy. So even though removing them from living under white supremacy to another country where they can live in harmony and kumbaya, they can be communists and they can just run around all day, don't have to pay bills, they don't have to worry about student loans or Trump. But you can't legally do it because of constitutional protections. And then the conversation of birthright citizenship comes up. I don't think that should be a thing. Everybody should have to apply. In my opinion, granting somebody something worth so much, but expecting them to appreciate it, it never works. It should be revoked. Actually, if you commit certain crimes, your citizenship should be revoked and you should be sent to prison in another country. And once you get out of prison, you should have to reapply for American citizenship. But you have to, give an essay. You have to speak in front of a camera and talk to a crowd and explain and basically beg for citizenship. And that's how hard it should be to get. People say, what about reparations? Your citizenship after slavery was reparations. And your second round of reparations was the vaccine. They put you first in line for a reason, to make up for medical injustice, or so they say. But look at this guy here. Look how he talks.
Oh, motherfucker. On the 28th, this motherfucker gave them immunity through an executive order that they can shoot to kill. And any attorney that files a lawsuit against them can be prosecuted. So what the fuck you want to say now about racism no longer fucking exists? What I'm going to tell you is this, and I'm going to remind you, we are not our motherfucking ancestors, baby. We respect them, we appreciate them for their sacrifice, but we ain't going through the fuck shit that they tolerate.
Well, that's not true. You being gay means you're exactly your ancestors. For one thing, if the slavery stories are true, and remember, the slave stories are written by black gay men, and there was a lot of buck breaking going on. So that means a good old grandpappy had his bottom lip out, And them white men was wearing that ass out, just smacking, just rocking them. For hundreds of years, you're getting your shit rocked. I'm surprised you guys didn't, evolve into, well, maybe this is evolution from all the bug breaking, because that's the continual story that these people that keep trying to tell me about slavery, even though they don't have any proof any of this stuff ever happened, but they have a whole lot of stories. And it's really just from their overactive BDSM, gay, obsessive fantasy minds where they create all these stories. And then you wonder why the Black community is so gay. It seems like a lot of it comes from slavery stories, BDSM, being tied up in a chicken coop, sweat, and somebody just rocking that ass. When you hear those stories of being bug broken, I'm like, are you really telling me you think your great granddaddy was? This is nasty. I mean, but hey, you know what? That's an American thing. This guy is one of those gay Black men that want you to believe in slavery and all them stories. And guess what? He got his bug broke. So actually, he is identical to his ancestors. Think about it. The ones that survived were the cowards, the gay ones, the ones that snitched, the punks. The rebellious ones are the ones that they knocked off. They cut their feet off, and then they killed them. They hung them, I guess. But the weak ones, the scary ones, the gay ones, those are the ones who survived and actually had kids and continued on. So actually, buddy, you are your ancestor. You are him. You're him reborn. Your mom gave birth to her great grandpappy. How you doing?
You want it? Bring it, Ben.
It's a shame, but it's hilarious when you see it. It's like certain people just don't have any wherewithal where they can't realize what they're saying or what they're doing. But to watch so many people advocating for violence makes literally no sense. Not to me, at least. I don't see I don't see the point. It's a war that is unnecessary. Why would you fight in a war when you could just leave? You don't own anything here. You said the country is evil and racist. So why would you want to stay in this country? Why wouldn't you just want to leave? Go somewhere safer. Go somewhere better. Go somewhere where your own people run the country and live under their rule and see how that goes. It's not worth dying for. You're literally calling for war, a race war that you have zero chance of ever winning. You don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of successfully winning a race war when you're a minority. But I mean, don't get me wrong. They let you think that you're going to win. Right now, the way the country is set up, because of the laws that are not properly calibrated, 13% of the population can hold 87% of the population as hostages. You can't say nothing to them. You can't do anything to them. You're just kind of just waiting for something to happen. And that's really that's not a way to live, in my opinion. So, but this is actually the video that I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and show you another example of the Black Army. This is a Black Army operative right here. And you've never seen this before, but you got to wonder what they're up to. Never have you seen gay people coming out calling for violence, especially if you're a white gay man calling for violence against straight white gay men. Like I said, the way I see all this is just a war between gay people and straight people, but mainly gay white people and straight white people. Gay white people, because they're smaller in stature and strength, they have to recruit others and manipulate them to fight straight white people on their behalf. And therein lies the source of the conflict in the United States as we speak, as we know. So this is another example of the Black Army. And I want you to hear and just pay attention to it and just look for yourself. Let's see here. Oh, let me go ahead and go back to my other profile. It's on X.
We know! Everybody knows that! I don't condone the innocent killing of policemen, anyone. Okay? I don't celebrate that. I don't praise it. I don't salute it. I don't condone it.
You're just saying that because you don't want to eventually be charged and go to jail, even though jail would be a playground for you because of your proclivities. That's like me saying, "Oh no, please don't send me to an all women's prison. I don't advocate for violence. I don't want to go." Yeah, you do.
But the story is not about that cop that was innocently killed. It's not. And if you think it is, think about where your priorities lie. If it's to protect the white man or the policeman, fine.
This is a gay white man who's been protected by straight white policemen his entire life. And he's now saying that it's justified for you to. So basically, tomorrow, if a black man is robbing a church's chicken or a liquor store and police shoot them because they're armed, that a random black person or even one of that black person's relatives should find the first random white person they see working, maybe a firefighter, maybe a cop, maybe a meter maid next, and hit them with their car. He's not saying that violence is not the way. You should find other methods or other avenues. He's literally justifying this. I call this the Carmelo effect. What they're doing now is if your victim is white, they will start a GoFundMe and they will pay you a bounty. However high they can get the donations is the bounty they're paying for the head of the white person that you killed. I'll give you an example. Oh, let's finish this video and then I'm going to give you an example. Well, I mean, I might as well just give you an example now. So he was in Cincinnati. Cincinnati cop killer GoFundMe canceled. So Give, Send, Go is going to allow the killer to raise money, but GoFundMe issued an apology when they received a lot of backlash. Support for the guy who killed the cop with his car because his son was actually shot by police because he had a gun during a standoff. They had already raised $7,000 within like a day or so. And then, well, actually, no, they raised over 20 something thousand. GoFundMe canceled that campaign, but Give, Send, Go is allowing it. However high this gets over the next 3 weeks is basically the bounty for this white man's head. Austin Metcalf, his bounty was roughly $570,000. There are bounties on other white men. Now, if you're Hispanic, if you're black, and one of these black people kill you, nobody will care. Nobody will pay a penny. But if you happen to target someone who's white, they're basically, you've heard the phrase, someone will teach you how to treat them. What they're doing now by allowing these fundraisers to pay these bounties is they're encouraging and they're training people to understand that if you have someone in your family who's a crash out, who's already going to go to prison anyway, you want them to direct their anger towards a random white person that they've never met, that's never done anything to them, instead of people from your own racial background who you live around, like in the hood. People say every day, and this is one thing I notice about when I read, black comments, they say, we're out here shooting each other every day, but we should really go after our real enemy. You're your own real enemy. Just because people are white, how are they your enemy? But again, that goes back to the original point of the live. If you think white people are your enemy, why do you still speak a white language? Bro, you have full agency over yourself. You can learn to speak Swahili. You can learn Zulu. You can learn to speak Ghanaian, but yet you live in a white country. You speak English, a white language. You choose to be a Christian. You choose to live a white American, ethno-Euro lifestyle instead of basically renouncing white supremacy, moving to another country, learning their language, and completely disconnecting you and your family from the white world. But you would rather literally call for other people from your background to do something that you don't have the balls to do, which is go try to hunt one of them down and end up in prison. And unless you're gay, that's going to be way too much sex waiting on you. It's a lot of it in there. Especially this guy, you killed it. You did this to a cop who was just retired and just working on the side as a crossing guard. They're going to have fun with you in there. But your family is going to get, a little bit of change while you're on the outside. And was it worth it? No. They got you to do their dirty work. So what this guy did, right, is what the gay community wants you to do. They want you to do their dirty work for them. Remember, the way the Black Army hierarchy works is gay men like this manipulate blacks to go out and do things that they're too chicken shit and they're too weak to do themselves.
But ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you don't want to know Rodney's side of the story. You're just pointing fingers and being like, fuck that thug. I hope he goes to hell just like his son. Heartless. This is about black people being angry for centuries. Because
why would anybody be angry for centuries? You've had freedom to leave this country for over a century. About 100 and almost 200 years. You've had the opportunity to leave this country. Almost 200 years. Over 150 years, you've had the choice to leave. You choose to be here. No one stopped your family 50 years ago, 60 years ago from leaving and going to another country. No one's holding you hostage here. No one's putting a gun to your head and saying you better stay in America or else. You could leave. There's something called being an expat. There's people, I live abroad. There's thousands and thousands of people that live in other countries. Why are you still here? If you hate these people, matter of fact, this gay guy, why is he here? Well, he's here for power and control. He needs you to help him get there. That's why he makes a video like this that's nonsensical. This isn't about Rodney. And what about his side of the story? What side of the story do you want to hear about a person who, like a coward, took his car and ran over an off-duty sheriff that has nothing to do with your son being unalive? He doesn't even work for that department. Never did. He was a sheriff. This was police that killed your son. But you want to try to justify it. And right when he's supposed to justify it, he moves on and he does a cut. If you look at it, he does a cut.
For centuries. Because of the
And listen, do you know how stupid you sound if you were angry for centuries and you didn't do anything about it, like move somewhere else where you're going to be happier? Then that means your anger is your fault. You're ultimately in control over your anger. You can't blame that on someone else. What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
Fine. But ask yourself why. Ask yourself why you don't want to know Rodney's side of the story.
Look at the jump cut coming up.
You're just pointing fingers and being like, fuck that thug.
Well, he was the one arrested for running over the cop because he was in his own car. Who else do you want us to point our finger at?
I hope he goes to hell just like his son.
Yeah, that's fair. You just, like a coward, ran over and killed an innocent man.
Heartless. This is about black people being angry for centuries.
Now, you being a gay white man, if you really care about black people being so angry and hating white people, why haven't you self-deleted out of solidarity for the cause? Just wipe yourself out and make a video and say, hey, this is for the black community, and just end yourself. Instead, you're making these videos, putting a battery in their backpack, in their backs, and hoping one of these simple, slow buffoons with dark skin is going to go out and try to do another copycat attack. Because hopefully you're going to organize a give, send, go to fund their poor decision. That's what the plan is. And this is how these people manipulate the black community to be their attack dogs and their foot soldiers against their political enemies. If you look at it, Democrats are gay white men, conservatives, Republicans are straight white men. This is a Democrat trying to wipe out his enemies by manipulating the black community to go and attack them on his behalf. I study this and I actually get reports about it. Subscribe, watch the videos, share them. But this is stuff that you need to understand.
Because of the slave catchers.
Because of now, nobody alive today, nor their grandparents or great-grandparents were ever slaves. Nobody ever has a video of a slave catcher. No one knows how it actually worked or what actually happened. Everyone just makes up in their mind their own stories. You are a gay man. There is nothing that would turn you on more than somebody catching you somewhere and tying you up and throwing you in a box, because that's what you guys are into. You're weird.
I get these laughing, crying emojis, not taking anything seriously. Like, oh, this white boy, this soy boy is talking out of his ass.
Where else are you talking out of? Why are you bringing up slave? Are you a slave catcher? Did you ever met one? Name one person that was a slave catcher. You can't. And the only people you know that you were slaves was somebody named Kunta Kinte. And Alex Haley was sued, and all those stories were fake and made up. You don't even know if slavery in the form they told you for ever happened or even existed. So you're basically reliving trauma from stories. It's just like me being an adult and I'm still having nightmares about Jason from Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger. It's just watching people. It's like when people are dying in 2025 in the name of religious people who died thousands of years ago. That doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't make sense to me.
No, I read books written by black people.
So because the book was written by a black person, you think it, so black people don't lie. Again, this guy's an idiot. Black people lie about everything. All the time. Every single thing. Everything is a made-up story, and it all goes back to oppression, racism, no personal accountability. There's nothing, it's all lies. And you are believing the lies. No, you're not dumb enough to do that. That's why you know they're slow. So you're encouraging them to go out and do things to get themselves locked in jail or killed, because you are too chicken shit to do it yourself. You won't go attack some of these police officers, even though you read those books, but you want one of them to do it. Hilarious.
That wanted to keep history alive, because some people are banning books. I can't stand you all.
The books that they are banning are books about transgenderism and gender ideology, books that genderqueer, which are teaching little boys that they can eat fecal matter as a form of foreplay. And this is one of the perverts that's promoting the homosexuality and perversion to your children. This is one of the ones that would teach them to keep secrets from your parents, and you eventually will come home one day and your child won't speak to you. You won't know them anymore. He's one of the ones, likely from California, that helped promote the legislation where if you don't affirm your gender for your child when they've been manipulated at school by teachers like this, you're going to lose them. Look at that face. That's who we're talking about. These are the leaders of the Black Army. It's spelled BLAQ because it's the LGBTQ and the Black community combined. So that's why you spell black that way. It's an entire movement dedicated around killing and unaliving conservative white Republican Americans, straight white Republican Americans, and most don't even know that this is coming. However, once they do find out, the Black community and the gay community will no longer be communities in this country, because they're targeting children and women first. And white men, if they can find a target that's easy to access, they go after them. These attacks are happening every day. I don't suggest you participate. Instead, if you're ever feeling the urge to hate white people and want to do something to them, go pack your bags, go to the closest international airport, fly to Africa, go back to the motherland, build a house. You guys built America, build another America. Build a new White House, build up a system, get you guys this stuff together. It's better than the alternative, which is dying in an American prison and having a lot of man sex or woman sex. It's better than that. If you hate white people that much, leave the country. It's not worth dying or going to prison trying to fight in a war that you're going to lose anyway. Because what would even winning the war look like? You don't respect laws. You don't respect other. I've been to countries ran by black people. I've lived in cities ran by black people. You don't want to live in these places. So you'd rather the entire country look like that? You're a fool. You're a fool. Anyway, I'll be back with another topic in about 20 minutes. I'm going to go drink some water, eat some fruit, and I'll be back shortly. It's not worth dying for. Leave the country instead of pretending you want to participate in a race war. Don't let a gay Black Army lieutenant trick you into getting yourself put in prison forever.
You're crazy. Do your own fucking research. Google is free. There's a public library probably right near you. Books. Look into that.
Yeah, he's going to convince you to get you and your family put in prison and murdered. That's all he's going to do. If you start this war, they are not playing with you. Not this time. We watched our cities burn. We're not watching that happen again. I'll be back shortly.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.